Jeff Blood is an experienced nymph fisherman who loves to angle for steelhead in the tributaries of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. He's also the creator of some unique products for Gamma Technologies, makers of frog hair products. One of these products is strike indicators. We joined Jeff on a Pennsylvania river where he explained a little about rigging options, how to use the indicators, and most importantly, how to detect a strike using them. Jeff, could you explain a little bit about how we're fishing here, why we're fishing here, in terms of where the steelhead are lying, and the rig that you've got set up? Because this is really important. We've talked a lot in the car on the way here about presentation. Could you articulate a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, first of all, you want to locate the water that the steelhead like to lie in. And what I do as far as the stream is I'll quadrant it off and I'll fish close to me, like I'm fishing right here in front of me. And I'm then going to just keep working it out. If you notice, I went a few more feet out farther. I hit the bottom right there. And want to bring that through most of the pool, see if we can locate some fish. Now, as far as my rig, it's a rig that I fish almost everywhere. It's the 9.5 foot leader. It's the 2-fly rig with a split shot about 18 inches above it. And the indicator I almost always have up at the tip of the fly line. Mm-hmm. And that's because I want to get the fly to the bottom before I start to feel anything, and you need to have a little bit of length into the leader. There's a lot of structure that I can feel out there right now because I do have a lot of weight, so I'm feeling the bottom as well as watching the indicator at the same time. What I'm looking for is anything that doesn't look natural. And if you look at it from a practical point of view, when you throw anything onto moving water, it should float naturally with that current. And your indicator should float natural. Now, if you see a pause or hesitation of any type, or with steelhead, a little bit of a twitch, because they're a big fish, but they aren't real aggressive in their strikes. And most of the time, what happens is the fly just comes down onto their mouth, and they open their mouth and inhale it. So it's actually real subtle. And so it's just anything that doesn't look natural. And that's the biggest mistake that a lot of fishermen make, is they don't strike when they're actually getting fish taking the line. And therefore they don't hook up, and they have a less productive day of fishing.
I think we talked about this before, that your rule of thumb is, if there's any doubt at all, you give it a little flick of the wrist, just set the hook.
Exactly. And when I'm teaching young kids, 8 to 10 years old, to fish, they're better students than most adults, because you'll tell them to always strike when the indicator does something that doesn't look normal, and they do that, they strike and they catch more fish oftentimes than the adults do, because the adults overthink it and say, well, no, that was bottom, or it was a different type of or something other than a fish. Okay, Colin, if you notice, what I'm doing here is I'm stepping forward into the stream, and the reason I'm doing that comes back to that grid approach to the stream, where you quadrant it off, and now we're trying to just reach across the current and fish the other side of the pool with a nice natural drift. And the way this pool is right now, and the way the water's flowing, the fish are probably going to be lying, if they're up here this high, over along that seam that's on the other side of the bank.
Yeah, there'll be some nice current breaks in there.
Yes, and that seam right there where I'm into now is, if there's fish in here, probably where they're going to be lying, maybe just a little closer.
Okay.
If you stand back and you make the cast from 10 feet back, what you do is you diminish your ability to throw a natural drift. A really good caster can, a good fisherman, but what you're now contending with more water, more distance. There's drag in this water down here in front of you as you're fishing. If your line's down on the water like that, you just create instant drag, which is then makes your presentation a lot less natural than it needs to be to get the fish to take it. There are ledges on the bottom of these streams. If you've never fished it before, you need to learn where those ledges are, because that's where the fish have a tendency to hold. They feel safer. There's normally some type of slower impact of the water right there as it's coming down and doesn't tire the fish as much. So I have fished this pool pretty good, and we haven't hooked anything up. And as you know, there are a lot of fish in the water. So normally if I make 10 or 15 casts and I don't detect a fish in there, I move on to the next pool, which is what I think we ought to do, Colin.
Okay.
Is move
Now,
on down.
one of the things, we're here at the head, we got somebody in the middle. Do you find the tail of the pools are good environments to check?
Yes, they are. The tail of the pools are good, or we might just step down here another 15 or 20 feet before we leave the pool. And, you know, proper etiquette says we give this fisherman enough space so that we don't infringe on his pleasure for the day.
Nice fish, Jeff.
See, I knew they were going to be here. It's just a matter of where.
Now, in terms of your strike indicator, what did you see? Hesitation, a little slight
Actually, I
pull?
felt that fish. Because the current's so fast out there, I felt the fish strike.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he came probably into the faster water to grab it?
Yeah.
From some slack water?
Exactly.
You want me to tail that for you?
No, I can handle it here. I'm
Okay.
just gonna, it's not a very big fish, so he's got both of my hooks in him.
Here, want my forceps?
Whoop.
Oh, beautiful colors, eh?
Yeah, he's all tangled up here. Okay.
Need this?
That's the one he took. Jeez, he's got, almost put that in his eye.
Very fat fish, eh?
Yeah, they're healthy, aren't they? Jeez.
This is one of the things that happens, though. They roll and get the line around them.
Fly it. Oh.
There you go.
There he goes.
Outstanding.
He hammered that fly right there. Go ahead, Colin, and show me how to do it.